sorry, I forgot. Can I please have a motion to resume public session? Mr. Bailey, can I have a second? Ms. Littlewood? Any questions, concerns? All in favor? Okay, the vote is unanimous. We're now in public session. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all. All right, are there any agenda changes?
Yes, to personnel.
Okay. All right, board president's comments. I just wanted to take a couple minutes to welcome you all here. It's so nice to see all of you. Also, just kind of to look back on the past few years and where we're at right now with this idea of being able to do things and participate in things collectively, to share experiences collectively. I was reading something by Brene Brown a while back, and it kind of popped into my mind with the month of March. One of the things that really brought it to me is the Music in Our Schools month, how many different activities we have connected to that, different opportunities for people to hear different music, to see different music, to watch their kids and other people's kids. And I thought that was a really good way for our community as a whole to share experiences together and have some joy in the middle of winter and snow. There's a lot of snow out there. One of the events I had a chance to go to were the group of drummers and singers that were here that had gone to several of the schools, and then they were also at the Performing Arts Center for the community to go to. And it was really great to be able to walk in and just see so many different people there and kids wandering around and people sharing those experiences. And the other part that really jumped out to me on this whole topic, this whole idea of communal experiences, is the One School, One Book project. My daughter's school is doing this project with the Wish Tree. So every couple days we're reading some chapters at home, which we are always supposed to be doing, but it's nice to have that reminder to remind us to actually do it and to have an experience where she can then, tell me the things they talk about in their class as we talk at home. So I just thought that those were some really great reminders for myself and hopefully for all of us to enjoy those experiences together. And that is all I have right now. Moving on to points of interest. Ms. Davis? Maybe?
Oh, we left.
Okay.
Just as a heads up to everyone, thank you. Okay. So the New York State Art Teachers Association Region 2, which is all of the Finger Lakes, is currently having their student art exhibit at Roberts Wesleyan College. I had the opportunity to attend on Friday night, and we have 20 Gates Chi students who have pieces of art that were selected for this show. It's pretty great. We have some amazingly talented students in our district, so encourage everyone to go check it out. I believe it's only this week from 11 to 5 at the Roberts Wesleyan the Community Life Center or whatever it's called, so that's it.
Thank you. Any other points of interest? Okay, moving us forward to report of meetings. Do we have any reports? Tomorrow, okay. Okay. Then moving forward to visitor comments. Do we have any? No? Okay. All right, then moving us forward to the report section, we have the Gates Chi High School Varsity Bowling, Section 5 champions.
I'm proud of the way the team stuck together through the years and remained consistent. They're a very resilient group of kids, from coming through when it mattered most during the tournament to getting a police and fire truck escort back to school. I know these are going to be some memories that are going to last a lifetime for myself and for these kids. Our team this year is anchored by a few seniors, one being Dylan LaForce. Dylan has averaged 205 this year. He's named a first team All-County. Dylan has been a constant amongst this team throughout his time with us, which has been stated back to 7th grade. Another highlight this year was Jeffrey Fisher. Fishbowl the first 300 game since I can remember at least the last 10 years. He's averaged 196 this year and was named to second team All-County. We have a lot of others contributing this year, being that we are a varsity program that only has varsity in its repertoire. We don't have a JV or modified, so we're really coming from 7th grade all the way through 12th. So we really have a variety of kids. This year we have a couple seniors, Austin Diator, Regan Clancy, junior Adam Langhill, Dante Stewart, Anthony Catalano, Josh Akowitz, and Sam Remp. Hopefully this is a good sign of things to come. We have another strong roster coming back next year. Congratulations to both our teams. Another unique thing is we coach boys and girls simultaneously, so they're going on at the same time. And I think, we've had a very successful season on both sides. I'm going to have Dylan LaForce come up and say a few words from the kids. Go Spartans.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dylan LaForce, and I stand before you today as a proud winner of the Section 5 Class B Bowling Sectional Championships. It was an unforgettable experience and one that I will cherish for the rest of my life. Winning sectionals wasn't just about the medal or the recognition. It was about the journey. The journey for me started 6 years ago when I was in the 7th grade. It was a battle of ups and downs with many moments of joy and disappointment. But it was all worth it at the end. I loved every minute of it. I will never forget the adrenaline rush that came with each strike, the nerves with each spare, and the excitement that came with every good shot. And I will definitely never forget that look on Austin's face whenever he struck. What made the journey even more special was the people that shared it with me. My teammates, my coach, my family, they were there every step of the way, supporting and encouraging me. They were the ones who believed in me. Even when I doubted myself, for that, I'm forever grateful. All of our hard work was presented to us after the final shot when we received our medals and patches. Something special happened as we left Gates Bowl with the Gates Police, Gates Fire, and ambulance escort and the bus ride back to school. Thank you, Mr. Long. As we got back to the school, we were playing We Are the Champions over the bus intercom, and we arrived at the front loop, the front parking lot, to roars of applause and shouts from the parents, staff, and students. This really meant something to every one of us because it showed us how far we come and how good and how well we bowled all season long. Winning sectionals reminded me that hard work, determination, and perseverance can lead to great success. Now, my Gates childhood bowling career has come to an end, and although it's tough to end 6 years of varsity bowling, I will always remember that all our hard work paid off. I want to thank Coach Schroeder and my teammates for giving me 6 years that I'll remember for the rest of my life. Thank you, and forever, go Spartans.
Thank you and congratulations again.
We need to get a picture with the team and coach over at the
The backdrop over there.
backdrop, please. Parents, if you want to grab some too, go ahead.
Always got to be the last one. Step on the gas, come on. Hey, what's up, Poppy?
Congratulations. Now we're going to move to our next report, which is almost as exciting. The property tax cap and bus proposition.
So first of all, I want to apologize to everyone for the technical issues. If you do need to speak into your microphone, it appears as though after a certain amount of time, they shut off. So there's a power button on the side. You have to hit that first, and then you can get going. All right, so thank you for having me. First, I want to let the members of the bowling team and their parents know that you don't need to stick around for this unless you really want to. This, may not be nearly as exciting. Have a great evening, everyone, and congratulations again. Goodbye. Multiple ways of doing that, Mr. Daly. If the board's okay, I'll just give them a moment to head out. Thank you. Okay. President Coffey, Superintendent Daly, Board of Education, thanks for having me. I'm here to talk a little bit about the budget, the tax cap, the bus proposition. I'll ask Mr. Hembold, the Director of Transportation, to join me when we get to that portion of the presentation. With that, here's the clicker. All right. I don't know. I also need to power this on, apparently. It is now. Okay. Oh, that's not right. There we go. Okay. So I know that we've already had one budget presentation that was very brief. In the last presentation, we talked about the process a little bit and what we do as we go through the budget process, the budget calendar, those types of things. A quick update before I continue with the tax levy limit calculation. I just wanted to share that we had our 2 budget ambassador presentations. Those were over 80 slides apiece. We talked about expenditures and revenues with the community members who signed up to be budget ambassadors. Those sessions went very well, were very productive. Our 3-time attendee, Mr. Johnson, is in attendance behind us. He is the elder statesman on the budget ambassadors. So hello, Mr. Johnson. It went very well, and we are now at the point where we've asked budget ambassadors to submit their feedback to the Board of Education through a survey. They have that survey link and are currently replying to the questions that we've outlined as part of the budget ambassador process. So you can expect at the next board meeting that we will review, or actually, sorry, 2 board meetings from now, I believe, we will review those results and have any conversation that we need to have relating to the feedback from budget ambassadors. So that tax levy limit, I know that everyone on this board generally has a good understanding of the tax levy limit calculation. The most important piece to note is that 2% is not a cap. That is a portion of the tax levy limit. It's only a cap insofar as if CPU is above 2%, then we start at 2% before we start calculating the tax levy limit. So, for instance, 2 years ago, it was 1.62, and we started our tax levy limit calculation, CPIU, in the prior year consumer price index. In the prior year was 1.62, so we start our calculation at 1.62 and then add in our exclusions. This year, or I should say last year in 2022, CPI was 8%, much higher than it's been in the over decade that I've been calculating the tax levy limit. A very high CPI. It does mean that we're still capped at 2% though. So even though our costs have increased significantly in terms of material supplies, contractual expenses, we're still starting at that 2% with our tax levy limit. From there, we add in our exclusions, one of those being tax-based growth factor. That's an indicator of how much the tax base has grown within our community. In this case, it's under 1%, so we can add that into the 2% calculation. In addition to that, a small amount for capital exclusion. So this is higher than it's been in years past, the $230,000. The reason for that is that when we purchased those electric buses, one of the buses came in exceedingly late. It came in after when we had originally anticipated in our plan last year because of manufacturing delays. And so we're only getting a half year's aid on one of those buses, which means that that impacts our tax levy limit capital exclusion. In addition to that, pilots, the payments in lieu of taxes through COMITA or Imagine Monroe, those are abatements given to businesses and entities that apply for some reduction in taxes through that process. The idea there is that if Monroe County can attract businesses to be here in our communities, then they will hire people within the community, and then they'll turn around and spend money here as well. So the idea is to give them some kind of a tax break when they come into the county, and so those agreements are through the county. They're not through us, but they are a factor when thinking about our tax levy limit calculation, and they will certainly have an impact next year as one of our major pilots falls off of the calculation. We'll talk about that more next year. So our current levy is $58 million. With the calculation, the levy limit is $59.9 million, or a 2.99% increase. Again, this is a limit, and we'll talk more about that in future Board of Education meetings. Any questions about the tax levy limit calculation? No? Okay. Mr. Hembold, would you like to join me up here, just in case there's any questions? So we're going to talk a little bit about the purchase of buses for next year. This is one of the propositions that will go out to the public, and it aligns with our replacement plan. So first of all, I just want to note that through Matt's hard work with NYSERDA, with Matthews Buses, we received 5 grants through NYSERDA. So last year, if you'll recall, we had 2 electric buses, and this year we now have 3 more. So they are now all actually here, and so we have all 5 electric buses. 5 is the max that we can apply for under these NYSERDA grants, and so at this point we don't anticipate purchasing any more electric buses for the foreseeable future. I do know that NYSERDA, I've been to some sessions where NYSERDA has presented along with other state officials, that NYSERDA is still working through how it will all work when we're not receiving grants. So mind you, these buses are over $400,000, and so without those incentives, creating a plan to purchase these buses would be difficult for our community. So we're still waiting to hear back from NYSERDA, who's the overarching entity responsible for this initiative, to give us more guidance on, what are the things that the state's going to be doing to support us in this initiative. Any questions about electric buses? Again, major thanks to Matt and his team. Yes?
I apologize if this is kind of a silly question. Are there any differences in how you drive the buses or any other qualifications you have to have, or does it work just the same as
What was the second part?
any other qualifications, anything else you would need, just to make sure?
No, but I'll let Mr. Hembold answer this.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
No, not a silly question. That comes up a lot, actually. So there is not. You still need your CDL driver's license. It's still air brakes like our regular bus. It's like a big RC car. So instead of the diesel engine, it's just a big battery. But you still need everything.
Thank you.
Yeah, and one thing I'll add to that is essentially the bus is the same on top. It's just that they've taken out all of the combustion engine components and replaced it with electric bus components. Yes?
I know we've asked this before, but I'd like it in public session again. That the buses, how are they performing in the winter weather? That's been something we've heard quite a bit of feedback from the community and questions
Yep.
about that.
Go ahead.
So I actually have a couple slides on that, so if I don't answer that question, just ask on that one, okay?
Perfect. Any other questions? Okay. So our bus replacement philosophy is to maintain a 6-year bus replacement schedule, ensuring the highest level of safety standards as well as preserving long-term cost savings. That is still our overall philosophy. It's something that we developed now, I believe, 3 years ago. And so are there any questions about, really what our philosophy is in terms of bus replacement? Okay. So some considerations that are specific to this year is that, yes, we typically replace buses at every 6 years. Again, we have a slide that we share. We like to share. That'll be the next one. We typically do 15 buses per year. As mentioned in previous conversations, buses have increased by over $23,000 a year, primarily driven by the steel market. And so as a result of that, we're planning to replace one less bus going into next year. What we're going to do is we have a wheelchair bus that we're going to keep an extra 7th year, and hopefully pricing will readjust next year and we'll make some adjustments to the plan at that point. But just noting that when you're replacing 15 buses, an increase of $23,000 per bus puts us well above what we would typically see in terms of our bus replacement cost. As is, we're going to see a small jump even at 14 buses. So any questions about that? Okay, and our philosophy includes that 6-year replacement. That's the point at which, for us, the value of the bus has met a threshold of it costs us more to keep the bus than to sell the bus in terms of the maintenance costs and what we would get for resale of that bus out on the open market. So that little over 6 years is the ideal time before it hits 7 to replace it from a cost perspective. And again, maintaining high safety standards as well is a priority. So our buses to be replaced are one 35-passenger wheelchair bus and 10 1366 passenger buses, all aligned with our replacement plan. Estimated trade-in value of $366,000. We're looking to purchase 13 66-passenger conventional diesel engine buses at a cost of $2.1 million. One 35-passenger conventional wheelchair bus at $175,000. So in aggregate, 14 new buses, total cost minus trade-in value, $1.9 million proposition would be what we're requesting the board to approve in April so that we can put it out for public referendum in May. One last thing to note is that we get the 75 cents back on the dollar in transportation aid for every dollar we spend on buses, so we would anticipate that would be the case pending no changes in regulation going into the following year. So we get aid on our purchases for next year in the following year. Any questions? All right. Thank you very much. I'll turn it over to Mr. Hempel.
Good evening, President Coffey, Dr. Superintendent Daly, and the Board of Education. It's a pleasure to be here tonight and tell you a little bit about our transportation department. So our staff, seems like every year, unfortunately, I keep saying we currently have 6 openings. Sometimes it's a little more, sometimes it's a little less, but that's our biggest concern that we deal with in our department is the drivers. Our attendants are fully staffed. Our office and mechanic staff. Right now we do have one mechanic opening that we're hoping to fill that will keep us up with our mechanic staff. So I wanted to give a little information about our daily schedule. One of the things that I found very interesting that I haven't shared before was that of the 82 schools that we go to every day, 59 of them have 5 or less kids. So it just kind of gives an idea of how far, if anyone says, I see a Gates Chalet bus, we are everywhere. We go to the east side, we go to the west side, we are everywhere. For the amount of in-district buses we have, around 24 on average are at the high school time. Out of 66 runs, the other 40 are out somewhere else. Our private and parochial numbers have come down a little bit, thanks to being more efficient in how we accept our applications and everything. Charter schools, the McKinney-Vento, that is out of district McKinney-Vento. So if you're like, that number seems low in transportation, if they're in district, it's very easy. It's the out of districts that we're driving around, and then our in-district trips. Our fleet, as Mitch mentioned, we're up to our 5 EV buses right now. We have 4 74 passengers. Those are the ones we tend to use. We need to keep those because we use those for our Womoco and our theater trips. It really can help us at night. It came up again today. When we do these theater trips, if it's a late show, they can't do their high school run in the morning. They need 8 hours off. So it's really the more efficient we can be on those trips, the better we are. So that's what we primarily use those for, and then sports trips. The 9 diesel the 9 diesel wheelchair buses, as Mitch mentioned, those, even though we're spreading them out, because of what they are, the market's not big, so we're going to try to spread those out to maybe offset what we're coming into in the future. It still keeps us very safe. The trade-in value on those is very low, so we're not hurting ourselves by extending those. The 66 passengers, those are the ones that you get right at that sweet spot, like he said, you get the most for the trade. Once you start getting past that, the trade really dips down. So that's why we're messing around with the wheelchair. Facilities, it's been staying the same. We're up to 3 security vehicles, so our staff maintains all of those as well. These are the numbers that he mentioned. That's base price on a 66. So right off the bat this year, without any options, the base price jumped $23,000. It was the largest hit I've ever seen in 26 years I've been doing this. Now, when I even started, buses were $46,000. They didn't jump up right away. They crawled up. This was the largest hit that anyone's ever seen. They said it was due to steel. Mitch and I are hoping once the steel prices go down that changes that. The nice thing about it is we're still kind of trickling in our new buses from last year, but I already have the date for the ones that were approved last year. They're coming in October. So it is showing that the parts are coming in, the motors are coming in, which is a nice sign. We'll probably get a bunch of buses all at once, but unfortunately the motors were the biggest thing. Cost of brakes, tires, and fuel have all skyrocketed this year as well. The percentages are all over the place. The biggest thing with brakes is finding the parts. We have a very high standard of what part we'll put on a bus. We're not just going to buy anything. So it's been challenging going out and buying brakes and stuff this year. So our electric buses, out of the 700 plus school districts in New York, 6 currently have them. As you can see, we're Gage Chalet. So we have 5 of them. Bethlehem also has 5. Lakeshore, I only think, has 1 or 2. Logan Transportation, 1 or 2. Everyone else has 1 or 2, and still trying to get into it. We're ahead of the game on everyone with infrastructure. We were the first ones to actually get a permit through SED to actually put in our infrastructure. Everybody is still trying to figure that out. So with Mitch's help and our architects have been great. We've really been working back and forth. And yes, it's taken a while to get to where we need to be, but being first, we got to get the bugs out. So hopefully this year we'll get our new infrastructure in. So hopefully I answer your question on this one. If not, so this slide is not to be negative. I wanted to give you the facts of really what's going on, right? So these are our 2 buses that have been running this year. One has been available for about 75% of its time. The other one's 65%. Those numbers don't sound great, but to be honest, I'm not disappointed with it because, for example, on a diesel bus, if something happens, we've had so many years to go. That's what that is. Don't worry about it. We'll fix it. It's safe. We got this. If something pops up on one of these, we are really taking our time to make sure we put these things on the road safe. One bus that was the 659 sat for 2 weeks one time because everybody was just trying, and it ended up being a computer glitch. So it really wasn't unsafe, but because we weren't really sure, we're just signing on the, so we're hoping that number changes by the end of the year. We're really hoping that we are getting 5 days a week. We're not trying to do the inspections during their runs. We're trying to keep them out there. The drivers are extremely happy with them. And I'm sure people will see this number and try to change it, out there, because there's a lot of people that are trying to go against the electric buses. But I'm actually pretty happy with that, because I know that they're running most days. It was just a couple times there that we had to pull them off the road. Did that answer your question as far as availability, or?
It wasn't necessarily availability, but how are they lasting in the winter weather? Because I know when we were talking about electric buses, people were concerned that they wouldn't last with everything running.
Yep. So we definitely saw a drop-off in the battery, but they still are creating, it's still doing, in the winter, it's still doing 93 miles a day, and then in the winter, it's still doing 61. We found when it's nice out and the heaters aren't on, it's really hard to tell a driver, like, when do I plug it in, fuel, how far you can go. We were finding it's about 1 mile per percent. Now, that's not exact math, but if you had a 100% battery, you should be able to go about 100 miles. That's what we were finding. It drops in the winter, so the one that goes 93 miles a day charges in between its run. We're still using the slower chargers right now. The new infrastructure that we're putting in should be more of the fast chargers, so hopefully every run that we have should be able to be covered on an electric bus. But yes, winter's been great. No complaints as far as heat or anything. Drivers been very happy with them.
One thing I might share as well is that we've never taken the bus below about 20% because
Yes.
we're too nervous to do that.
Little nervous.
We make sure to get the buses back to the garage and the charging station before they dip below that level.
And I'll be honest, I did have a little fun with the other directors when everyone was panicking how cold it was getting a few weeks back, and we got to come in and start our diesels. I just wrote back, well, we'll just unplug ours, right? I mean, we don't have to show up in the crack of dawn to turn them on. And right away, you unplug it and just go. It has heat right away. They're very good in the winter. They're good. So training, in the previous board meeting, I did give kudos to our vendor for doing this, but I want to do it again. We had every fireman come through our shop. They did in-classroom training in our driver's room as well as on the vehicle. It really made me feel better, just so everyone knows what to do if there's an issue or not. And they ran about 65 firemen through in 3 days, so it was very well. Any training we've needed, they've always offered. So this year's department goals is, I really want to tell you we're fully staffed next year. I'm trying. I really am. I mean, we have a great place. We had a couple new people coming in, and they kept saying they were referenced from a pastor in their church. I'm like, who is this pastor? No one's telling me. It's one of our cleaners at Armstrong. I guess he's a pastor. I found out today in the city, and that's who's been trying to get people to come to Gates Chalet, and the message has been it's a great place to work, and if you want to try it out, we highly recommend it. And he's had a couple of people in the last 2 weeks come in, so that was nice to hear. Installing our new infrastructure for our chargers, definitely we have to get that up and running now that we have our 5 buses. Securing our transportation site, we've found a couple things when we've had the police do a shutdown of our complex. Our gate does shut down, but it's pretty slow. The manual gate's kind of hard to manage, so we're working on putting that. So it's not that it's unsafe in the building. We're just trying to do a little bit more than we're doing right now. And with Mitch and Bill's help, hopefully this year we'll get that taken care of. And then updating our transportation handbook. It's kind of been a while since we've gone through it, and we found a few things that we should turn over and change on that. Any questions?
No, thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you.
That moves us forward to discussion items. Under there, we have the Education Foundation update, and their primary focus at this moment is getting everything ready for bingo. So we hope you can all attend. It is scheduled for Friday, April 14th at 7?
Yes.
7. But they're excited to get back and having their bingo sessions and really being a way for the community to gather while fundraising to support our students. Then we are moving now to consensus items. Can I have a motion to approve the consensus agenda? Mr. Long, can I have a second? Ms. Davis, any questions, concerns, discussion? All right, all in favor? The vote is unanimous. Can I have a motion to approve consensus items B through H? Ms. Kayes, can I have a second? Dr. Richards, questions, comments? All right, all in favor? All right, the vote is unanimous. Hi.
So as anticlimactic as that just was, just for our assistant principal candidates, you were just approved by the Board of Education for your positions. So if we could just formally acknowledge all of you, that would be wonderful. If you could each stand up when I call your name. Myra Ortiz, who will be our new assistant principal at Neil Armstrong Elementary, welcome. Gigi Parchment Magnuson, who will be our new assistant principal at the high school, welcome. And Daniel McAlpin, who will be our new assistant principal at the middle school, welcome. Congratulations to you all. We look forward to working with you.
All right, moving forward to action items. Action item A, motion to approve the preliminary agreement between the Gates-Chile Central School District and the Gates-Chile Administrators Association for July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2026. Can I have a motion? Mr. Long and Dr. Richards, questions, comments, discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. Made me nervous for a second there.
Sorry.
All right, moving on to superintendent's comments.
Well, welcome to our new assistant principals. We're thrilled to have you join our team. And it's an interesting time to join because it's Music in Our Schools Month. It's rocking right now. We've had several concerts thus far and many more to come. Please check out our district calendar to attend these free events in our district and see our outstanding, talented kids. Gates-Chile High School Musical Theater proudly presents Disney's High School Musical this spring. The cast of students and staff will put on 3 performances in the Gates-Chile Performing Arts Center on Friday, March 24th and Saturday, March 25th at 7 p.m. and then on Sunday, March 26th at 1 p.m. This is the program's first public performance since the GCPAC opened last spring. Tickets are $13 and will be for sale at gateschile.org/tickets or at the box office before each show. We received a preview of it as a surprise for our staff at our conference day on Friday, and it looks to be awesome. To echo what Dr. Ball shared earlier, we had our second session of Budget Ambassadors last Thursday. We had more ambassadors attend, 9 versus the 6 that came the first night. And our outstanding 3-year veteran, Mr. Johnson, was there both nights, a rarity. So Dr. Ball and his team did an outstanding job yet again. Each of the ambassadors were given a survey feedback form to give us their opinion on our budget. We went from 6 to 9:15 and went over 86 slides. I look forward to learning what they believe we can do better. We've had 3 of the ambassadors complete the survey so far, and when we have it all, we will then share it with the board, each of their opinions on what we can do better. So we had our superintendent's conference day last Friday, and we started with a student performance, a high school musical, and then moved on to Principal K's presentation. He did an outstanding job of including all our staff and explaining the impact they can have on student success. We ended the day with each administration, faculty, and staff member attending 2 breakout sessions. It was an extremely powerful day, and I thank the equity team led by Mr. DeJong and Mr. Olin to get it going, and then Mrs. Petrosino for all she did to help get the pack set up the way it was so that we could have the success we did. Their team together really made a great day for our entire staff. One of the cool things is to be a guest reader, and to get called in to do that is really fun. And last week, I had the chance to go in and read How to Catch a Leprechaun to Mrs. Burkholder's 811 class. It was really fun being a guest reader and then trying to figure out how to do leprechaun traps with them afterwards. Was pretty cool as well. The kids were fun and engaged, and it's one of those neat things to see the excitement of the kids to learn. Next week, we have our top workplace celebration. We're excited to find out where we rank in the Greater Rochester region. It is excellent to be recognized at this level for 3 years in a row. It'll be fun to see if we rank a little bit higher, same or lower, but either way, we're ranked, and being recognized as a great place to work, learn, and grow. The board candidates for 2023-24 are open, so the district has begun accepting petitions for the Board of Education. There are 4 seats open for election this year. 3 of the terms are for 3 years. 1 of the terms is for 1 year. District residents interested in running for the Board of Education must be nominated by petition, and they may pick up a petition from the district clerk at our admin building. And the petition must be signed by 25 qualified voters of the Gates-Charlie Central School District and submitted with other required paperwork by Monday, April 17th, 2023 at 5 p.m. And to echo what was shared about our foundation, it's also Cowboy Night at bingo, so wear your cowboy or cowgirl or cowperson hat to the Gates-Charlie Education Foundation Bingo Night, Friday, April 14th at 7 p.m. in the high school field house. This is their big fundraiser that leads to help them being able to provide scholarships and grants to further the mission and vision of Gates-Charlie for our students and teachers. That is my report, ma'am.
Excellent, thank you. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Mr. Bailey, Ms. Kais, any discussion? All in favor? Okay, the vote is unanimous. Call the meeting to adjournment.